As a young girl, I've been told by my parents countless times that I should be careful when I go out alone, and that I should always be aware of my surroundings and of a way to escape. I was naive at the time and didn't think much of it, because what could happen to a young girl such as myself? I was merely a child. But as I grew up, things started to get a lot more dangerous. In college, I used to work at a night bar a few blocks away from my apartment. It was my first steady job, and it paid quite well, which was really good because I needed the money. Now, you know how when you go to bars, there's always that one girl employee that you can't get your eyes off of? That was me. And yes, I'd use my power to get a lot of hookups, but this also drew the attention of unwanted older men who came up there to escape work and home. That's what I thought in that night as well. It was a cold night from what I can remember on a Friday. I was about to finish my shift, which was a relief. There was this one man who sat there from the beginning of my shift up to that point, constantly asking for refills and trying to strike up a conversation with me. I, of course, knew what he wanted, so I tried to be as cold with him as customer service etiquette would allow me to be. But he just wouldn't give up. So when my shift was finally over, I was more than glad that I could just leave. I told the man he needs to go because the bar was closing, and he didn't say anything. He just got up and left. About 15 minutes after that, I locked all the doors and made my way home. About 2 minutes after I started walking, I got this strange feeling that I was being watched. I quickly glanced behind me. There was no one there, but I swear I saw a shadow move. I shrugged it off and continued walking, this time deciding to call my best friend, who is usually up at this hour playing video games. But he didn't pick up. That's weird, I thought. Maybe he just went to sleep earlier today. I wrapped my jacket tighter around me and continued walking. I was almost on my street when I heard the sound of footsteps other than mine. I stopped and looked behind me. There he was. The man from the bar. He stared at me, but I still couldn't see his face. "Leave me alone or I will call the police," I said, confident, hoping that would suffice. But it didn't. He glanced down and then took a step into the light coming from the lamppost. That's when I saw his face. He didn't look like what I'd seen at all at the bar. His eyes were red, glowing with malice. His mouth was toothless, except for a pair of fangs. And then something even more frightening happened. He grinned and 6 more eyes appeared on his face out of nowhere. I screamed in terror and started running towards my apartment building. I didn't even look back, even though I could hear him laughing, and then the sound of flesh tearing apart. I didn't want to know what was following me. When I finally got into my apartment, I locked all the doors and windows, and I sat next to the kitchen counter, knife in hand, trying to contact the police. Something followed me back from work. I don't know what he is, but I think he's trying to get into my apartment, I said, this time visibly more terrified. They said that they're sending police as fast as they can, but deep down, I knew it wouldn't be fast enough. I had to do this myself. I waited for something to happen. I knew it was going to, and then I heard it. A gentle tapping on my living room window, and there he was. I screamed in terror when I saw what was hanging at my window. He was there, same malice-filled grin. But he didn't even resemble a human anymore. He had 8 massive, hairy, spider-like legs with which he kept banging my window, hoping he would get in. I quickly ran to my bathroom and locked the door, thinking what small chance I had of escaping. I heard the sound of the window smashing, a sign that he definitely managed to enter my house. I glanced around the bathroom to look for something that could help me. I found bug spray, but could that be of any use? Still, it was my best chance of escaping, so I grabbed it, opened the cap, and as soon as the door opened, I sprayed the crap out of him, especially in the eyes. This stunned him for a while, so I saw my chance and ran past him towards the front door. My hands were shaking so hard I had problems unlocking the door. I could hear him getting out of the bathroom, which meant it was now or never. I managed to unlock the door in time and ran down the stairs as fast as I could. but it still wasn't fast enough. He caught me at the second floor and grabbed me with one of his legs. I couldn't even breathe. I tried moving, but that only tightened his grip. I closed my eyes, not wanting to look at that horrific face anymore. He said something unintelligible, and then... sirens. The monster was distracted by that as well, so I saw the opportunity and tried to escape again, accidentally kicking him in one of his eyes. He looked at me and then... he dropped me onto the floor and disappeared through the back door. I was pretty shook, and when the cops found me and asked me what happened, I was mumbling nonsense. I kept staring at the back door, waiting for him to come back. But he never did. I quit my job at the bar the next day. I started sleeping with bug spray next to me, and I never go out alone, especially at night. Nothing has happened since. But, it's almost midnight as I'm writing this, and there's this tiny red glow coming from the other side of the street. And now I'm scared.